Okay, this week I'd like to talk about a more recent shoot, one that I assisted on. Zara McDermott, quite famous at the moment. She's got a new show out on BBC. She was big on Love Island, so we photographed her recently.
Yeah,
Let's talk
indeed.
about it.
So basically, I was contacted by the production company that were making the program. I think it's on BBC Three, and I think it's something to do with crime and stalking and
Yeah,
that kind of thing. And they asked if I'd be up for doing some pictures that would be used for the little icon on the iPlayer,
so like the
perhaps
thumbnail.
the thumbnail, And I kind of thought, well, it wasn't, a massively well paid job, but she's very photogenic. She's very beautiful, actually, in a kind of feline way. And I thought it was also an opportunity for Fred and I to work together. So this was done. When did we do this? Back in the summer.
Yeah, so about six
Oh,
months ago, 5 months
yeah,
ago.
and it was sort of a very straightforward shoot. We shot in a studios in Fulham, which as a friend of mine, a photographer called Neil Cooper, who used to work at Select, and he's got this studios called Jet Studios, which I'd recommend if anyone wants to have a studio in the West End or West London that they want to hire. And we met there, and we were able to use the studio itself, and we did some sort of elaborate lighting. And then we went out into the street down to, I think, Fulham Broadway,
Yeah,
perhaps,
just
or
onto the high
Parsons
street.
Green,
Yeah,
and we did some shots
in the
to kind of
public,
in a
cars coming past, people
exact.
walking. Yeah.
And yeah, so I got Fred to sort of hold the
I
flash.
think let's talk about the studio first. Maybe we can go more into the photography. So
Mm.
you said elaborate lighting setup. I remember making a box of backdrops, and she was inside the box.
It wasn't backdrops; they were sort of
Oh yeah,
polyboards.
it was polyboards.
So you have these polyboards, and one side is black and the other side is white. And so if it's white, it's to reflect the light back, and then if it's black, it's to sort of eliminate any
So
kind
like
of
soak it up, kind of.
soak it up. Yes, and so we quite often it's a good lighting technique. I quite often do this. When I use flash, I mean, I find flash sort of a bit boring. I think I always find using available light is wonderful because every time you work with it, it's different. I mean, we're filming this at a very high ASA on my Sony mirrorless camera, and it's amazing what you can get away with. I mean, there's very, very low light in this room, but what is coming through the window is kind of soft. It's raining outside, and the light is kind of interesting. But in this instance, it was kind of quite a commercial, professional assignment. There was a stylist there. There were people from Chatterbox Media, who were the production company that were making this program for the BBC.
So they were hired by the BBC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I didn't want to look like some kind of monkey, taking liberties, some amateur. So, I wanted to look, the part. And so we set up this tunnel, which I call it a tunnel, which is two polyboards, or maybe four polyboards.
To stretch the tunnel out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stretched out with black on the inside, and then a roof of black polyboards, and then one simple light with a softbox, and then a light behind the tunnel, which the tunnel's sort of flagging from the camera lens, sort of lighting her a highlight from behind. So it was quite effective, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it worked.
You got a lot of good pictures.
We did,
Yeah.
we did. So that's how we started. It's important to sort of get something that works in the bag, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And doing thumbnails on YouTube, learning about color theory, trying to make things contrasty and pop. Did you have that in mind, or
No, not
no?
really.
You just want to get a good
I
picture.
leave that to you.
No, but if this is for a thumbnail for BBC, I
Yeah.
thought maybe you would have.
Yeah, no, they were kind of saying that and everything. I was
Okay.
just thinking this is an opportunity to photograph the new Stacey Dooley. What's your memory of the shoot then?
She was very lovely. She was easy to work with. She was quite cooperative. I think she had a broken foot or something. Am I
Yeah,
right? I remember
yeah,
she was injured, so
yeah,
she couldn't stand. So
yeah.
you had to make do with her sitting quite a lot. So you mentioned you didn't want to be treated like an amateur by the people working there, Chatterbox and stuff like that. And I think one thing they did try to do, which they might try on amateurs, is some rights grabbing, contract kerfuffle.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put that down to, an oversight, but it's always, it's a bit like, you know, you always, it always ends up favoring them, these oversights. Quite
Yeah.
often they say, oh, it's nothing, we've got a little oh, while you're here, we've got this contract, you know, it's just dotting the i's and crossing the t's. It's a
So
sort
they
of it doesn't
downplay
really mean anything. And then you read it and it's basically giving them the copyright of the pictures. And I was doing the job for less than £1,000, which isn't very much money for what they
In
were
the grand scheme of
getting.
things, and yeah, a photographer of your caliber.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I would just say it's about the usage.
Yeah.
If I was, you know, 5 years ago, if I was sort of asked to do that, then I'd be like, I probably would have asked for 5 to 10 times what they eventually paid me. But they got me, you know, it was a friend of a friend who ran the production company, and they got me in a good mood, and I knew Zara, and I thought, yeah, that'll be very easy and fun to do.
Cool. Okay, so just to finish that segment off, did you sign the contract?
No, of course not. No, I told them that that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I think be quite hypocritical if you were to sign it.
Well, I do, to give you an idea, you know, I mean, I won't go into it, but, you know, the previous shoots where I have sold the copyright, you know, they've pretty much paid the amount of money that you'd get for doing an extension on your house, you know.
Right. So it's
The
very valuable
copyright
stuff.
in photographs is very valuable, especially if it's someone very famous, you know.
Can you give any examples of copyright you might have sold? Just,
Well, yeah, I mean, sort of Sir Paul McCartney or
oh yeah, I've heard he's very strict around his copyright.
yeah, I mean, he's a wealthy and powerful man, an incredibly talented man, and he quite understandably wants to have control over his image rights and so on, and
And he
but
can
that's
afford to do
fine,
it, yeah.
and that's fine, yeah, if exactly if he and he plays by the rules, and he
Yeah.
sort of. You know, I've worked for him, and you know, it's an honor. You feel you're in the presence of somebody incredibly talented. You know, part of the cultural landscape, and that
Completely.
also applies to David Gilmour, who I was a huge fan of. You know, when I was a student, you know, I loved "Wish You Were Here" and you know, "Dark Side of the Moon." So it was amazing to be working with him.
Yeah, cool. All right, so back to Zara.
So we started in the studio.
Yeah,
And
so
we did our studio pictures.
yeah,
And then, yeah, like I said, then we went out in the street, and I got you to carry
I had a big coat on. I had battery packs,
he had battery
lights,
packs,
other
yeah.
cameras, everything.
And I had the little quantum flash,
Yeah.
and you had to hold it up
I think
above,
a couple of times
above
I
your head.
put my thumb over the sensor and
Yeah.
messed up your picture. But
Yeah, but experienced assistants
Yeah.
sometimes get tired and they make mistakes, and you know, these things happen.
yeah, cool. It's a bit of a workout holding the light above your head for so long.
Absolutely, absolutely. But you know, and what was interesting actually, what I do remember from that shoot is that Zara she's very good at editing her pictures. So we basically, after the shoot was done, we processed out all these JPEGs, and
There was about 1,000 images or
there was
something.
1,000 images, and she sat there like a machine, just going through them, didn't she?
She was machine gunning, and like she had a keybind for liking certain pictures.
Yeah.
So she got through that 1,000 in about 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was extraordinary. And so we
She
knew
knew instantly, like for the split second, she knew if she liked the picture.
Yeah, it was very visceral, and you know, her kind of emotional response. You know, that's a sign of a good picture editor. You know,
Oh, interesting.
and you know, I guess you know you have if you're in touch with your emotions, you can. I mean, the trouble is I'm too analytical, so I'm not terribly good at editing my own pictures because I sort of start to think, well, I think with my head too much, and quite often it's good to go with your heart.
Well, maybe when you're editing a picture, I could record and just get your thought process on a video.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, cool. And one last thing with Zara. So after the tunnel, we went outside. We got quite a good few pictures outside, leaning against walls. You found some nice backdrops, naturally occurring backdrops. And then we came back inside, and you did a trick with her phone. She had half her face.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, can you talk about that?
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that. So because she's sort of someone who has a huge social media presence, and she was sort of in the downtime looking at her phone, I just sort of have this penchant for messing around with these devices because they're quite often screens, and so in the past I've taken pictures of people where they've sort of photographed. There's a picture of Nick Grimshaw where I've got him sort of I photographed his
Oh
mouth,
yeah, I
and then
remember that one.
it was basically a reference to a very famous picture by Herb Ritts that he'd done of Jack Nicholson, and he'd used a magnifying glass in front of Jack Nicholson's amazing $1 million smile. And so I did something similar with Nick Grimshaw, and with Zara. I can't remember. We'll put the pictures up, but I just got her to mess around with her phone because
Half her face was on the phone, and then the other half of her face was in person, and it kind
yeah,
of fitting with what the pictures were for,
yeah,
like
exactly.
stalking, digital world,
Yeah,
cyber stalking.
I'm not sure they necessarily use those pictures,
But
but
interesting nonetheless.
yeah, absolutely. Don't, in a situation that seems like you're kind of commercially delivering what the client wants, there's always an opportunity if you sort of are alive to it to get something that pleases you, and that you can drive home with a smile on your face because you've actually, made a creative journey, that you hadn't anticipated.
Yep, great. That's brilliant. And what was your favorite picture from the day?
Oh, probably the ones with the phone.
Just 'cause they're
But
more interesting.
it's strange that I've forgotten them though. It's just what it's quite.
You took a lot
I did
on the
take a
day.
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
there's multiple outfit changes,
mm,
multiple scenery changes. So
yeah. And it
no
was
wonder.
nice to have you along.
Yeah,
So
it was one of the first ones since taking YouTube and your photography more seriously I've come along with.
yeah, I mean it's good to have Fred along, and it's interesting actually how our subjects. You'd think again, getting back to being professional, would regard you being a nepo baby or a nepo baby
No.
as kind of the height of kind of indulgence, and kind of the fact that my practice is becoming decadent and ridiculous, that I'm getting my son along. But actually, people respond very well to it, don't they?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they're maybe
It's almost disarming, I feel like.
mm,
Like everyone loves a father and son or a family combo.
yeah.
So maybe.
My boy. Hi, Dad. I mean, it's yeah. We get a good response,
Yeah,
which
for
is
sure.
the main. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Is ultimately whatever gets you to the end destination, which is basically good pictures.
Yeah, and I'd like to think I'm not a nepo baby. I've made it on my own.
Nepo baby. Yeah. No, you made it on your own.
Yeah,
You made it through the rain.
yeah, but I don't think I'll include any of this.
You can put the Nepo baby in. I think it's good.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
I think people will like it.
Yeah.
People like it.
No one likes a nepo baby.
I know, but you're not. We're saying you're not though.
Okay. No, but I am right now. When I come along with, I'm only assisting you because you're my dad.
No. Well, we can talk about that.
What?
When you come along on the shoot, Fred, you're not a nepo baby. You're basically someone. There's a skill set for an assistant in the digital realm, the digital age, is such that it's more about somebody who is emotionally intelligent and has a good rapport with the subject. It's not. You don't have to load any cameras. You don't have to set up any lighting a lot of the time. I
But
mean, I help you with that.
a traditional assistant would probably do that on their own, right? They
Um,
would sort out your ASA, ISO on your camera.
Not
Or is that
well,
more a
not with
digital
me.
technician?
Not with me. I mean, I tend to, all my assistants, they wouldn't necessarily. In fact, other photographers, well-known photographers, have asked me if they can use my assistant, and then they haven't. It's
They've
got
been
back to me.
disappointed with
Yeah,
their.
they've been really found to be lacking. I can think of a few examples that's happened. And that's because I'm not interested in. I know how to light the pictures and do all the
So
light.
what do your assistants do? What's the
Be friend,
responsibility?
have a laugh,
Okay.
and create a good environment in order to then
So yeah.
get an authentic exchange, a sort of a lightness of touch, a kind of really good atmosphere.
Yeah.
And if you capitalize on that, and that's when the good pictures happen, because you know I was just thinking, the pictures that I've just been doing, of Keir Starmer after he gave his speech at conference. I don't know whether we'll include this, but after he gave his speech at conference, the sense of relief It's a rubbish picture. It's sort of very, very high ASA, and it's no composition or anything. But his smile and his sense of relief is just it's. I
You
actually felt
see,
quite emotional
yeah, you see
when I took
Kia,
it.
not the Prime Minister.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because everything was leading up to that, and he pulled it off, and he managed to sort of do his speech, and so that's what I really want, is something authentic. I mean, if you can have something authentic and a beautiful, genuine moment, and also brilliant composition, then
that's
that's
the
the kind of
golden.
that's the secret sauce that we
Yeah,
all want.
yeah, and as you always say, or I can't remember who the original quote is, but a picture is a recollection of
A
the
record,
a record of the relationship you have with the person on the day.
exactly.
Cool. All right. I think that's good, that. I think that's a nice video right there. And thanks for watching.